If you can do what you do best and be happy, you're further along in life than most people. To believe in love, to be ready to give up anything for it, to be willing to risk your life for it is the ultimate tragedy. My mother is a walking miracle. I'm not the kind of person who tries to be cool or trendy. I'm definitely an individual. I just really love doing what I do. I know every career is fleeting, and there will be time periods when I don't get the opportunities that I'm getting right now, so I am taking advantage of them. Raising awareness on the most pressing environmental issues of our time is more important than ever. I've never been Romeo who meets a girl and falls for her immediately. It's been a much slower process for me each time I've gone into a relationship. My career should adapt to me. Fame is like a VIP pass wherever you want to go. I had a period when I was 16 where I started to get a big head. I was going through puberty, and I was nominated for an Academy Award. My head got inflated. My friends were the real ones who said, "You're acting different." But the truth is that I don't need that, because I don't get out of hand. I love being immersed in nature, going to places in the world that are pristine and untouched by man. It's almost a religious experience when you go to a place like the Amazon, and there's no civilization for thousands of miles. I get a friend to travel with me. I need somebody to bring me back to who I am. It's hard to be alone. Women have been the most persecuted people throughout all of recorded history, more than any race or religion. I've always been spontaneous and outgoing. I've tried lots of things, so I've got some good life experiences, which is great, because it means I've got lots of material to work with as an actor. Hollywood is a very volatile place where artists come in and they essentially say they want to belong. It's incredibly vulnerable to be an actor and also get criticism at a young age when you're formulating who you are. We've seen a lot of people fall victim to that, and it's very unfortunate. I'm probably not going to get married unless I live with somebody for 10 or 20 years. But these people, Romeo and Juliet, took a chance and they did it. We don't have the balls that Romeo did. I've always been a slow starter. My first date was with a girl called Ceci. We had a beautiful relationship over the phone all summer, and then when we met, I couldn't look her in the eye. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe mankind has looked at climate change in the same way, as if it were a fiction. As a young boy, I was obsessed with endangered species and the extinct species that men killed off. Biology was the subject in school that I was incredibly passionate about. I took some time off after Titanic because I needed to let the dust settle and recharge my battery. I felt, okay, you've been given a tremendous opportunity. What are you going to do with it? Now your name can finance movies that you do want to do. I've gotten to go to far-off places in the world, have very unique, isolated, intense experiences for 4 or 5 months at a time. And then, kind of like a dream, those things disappear. You may see those people again, but it's never ever going to be as intense as it was for that time period. I don't think anyone really gets used to being recognized around the world. It kind of feels like a video game at times, especially with paparazzi and people following you and things of that nature. But it's part of who I am now. Everywhere I go, somebody is staring at me. I don't know if people are staring because they recognize me or because they think I'm a weirdo. If you have the ability to convince somebody of something that you don't necessarily think is the case, it's a valuable asset. Not that I'm like a pathological liar, but we spend most of the day not fully being honest, you know? I really hate relaxing. I've done 3 movies in a row, worked for 2 years straight, and to me, idle time is the devil's workshop. I like to focus on something. My friends have named me the person they least want to do extreme adventures with because I always seem to be very close to being part of a disaster. If a cat has 9 lives, I think I've used a few. I'm trying to do the best work I possibly can and making movies that will have resonance for years to come. I think if you try for an Oscar or a goal like that, the more people are going to see it as transparent. It's not on my radar. If it happens, great, but I'm happy to continue working as I am, really. I did imitations of anyone who came to my parents' house, and that was my identity at school. If there were 10 minutes to lunch and the teacher was done with the lesson, he'd say, "Okay, Leo, get up there and do something." I did imitations of anyone who came to my parents' house, and that was my identity at school. If there were 10 minutes to lunch and the teacher was done with the lesson, he'd say, "Okay, Leo, get up there and do something." Portraying emotionally ill characters gives me the chance to really act. My parents know I was outgoing as a child, and whenever people came over, I'd automatically do impressions of them as soon as they left. It was my mom's favorite thing. Yes, I grew up in Hollywood, but not in any rich neighborhood. I don't think I ever expected anything like an Oscar ever. To tell you the truth, that is not my motivation when I do these roles. I really am motivated by being able to work with great people and create a body of work that I can look back and be proud of. I've been very lucky to have achieved a lot of the things that I dreamt of achieving as a young man. But at the end of the day, and I truly believe this, it is not about achieving great wealth or success, because they don't bring happiness, ultimately. I don't know if I'm more confident than ever before, because I definitely had confidence when I was starting out. Maybe I have less confidence now than I did then. I want to be a jerk like the rest of my friends and have fun and not care about the consequences, but I just can't now. As a kid, I was going to be a marine biologist or an actor. When I became successful as an actor, I said, well, maybe I can lend a voice to this with an equal passion. You realize how lucky we are, and how destructive we've been, and what little regard we have for the natural world. The best thing about acting is that I get to lose myself in another character and actually get paid for it. It's a great outlet. I'm not really sure who I am. It seems I change every day. I like stories in specific time periods. The Revenant's era of American history was fascinating because it was this lawless no man's land. It defined the idea of the American frontiersman as man conquering nature. In a way, the story of Hugh Glass is about man dominating nature. I've managed to keep a clear head and remain sane in this business because I remain a kid off camera. Money was always on my mind when I was growing up, so I was always wondering how we were going to afford this and that. Acting seemed to be a shortcut out of the mess. I realized that I do not change the course of history. I am an actor. I do a movie, that's the end of it. You have to realize we are just clowns for hire. After I had success, it was great. At first, not to worry about money, it was on my mind when I was growing up.